Andrew Kuhnhausen, Domino Data Lab, software engineer. All right, the key engineering challenges that we face day to day at Domino Data Lab are mostly centered around balancing, sort of moving really quickly because we're a startup, we're getting customers signed, those customers are asking for features, and then also around stability and maintainability. Our products become used by really big enterprises. Stability and everything is really important to those customers, and it's totally at the heart of being able to continue to build software because they're the ones paying us. So making those trade-offs of how far do we push, how much engineering do we do versus just spike work. I'd say that's a big challenge of basically moving fast. So our primary product is geared towards smaller organizations. So these data science teams are maybe 10 to 100, maybe more. But data science is a fairly nascently categorized field. And the maturity of, while many organizations have been around for a long time, sort of under the moniker of data science is fairly new. And the maturity level and size of those organizations tend to also be small. So we don't deal with mega, platform, global-sized engineering like, places like Facebook and Twitter. Instead, we deal with the sort of scalability issues of, well, how does our shrink wrap product get deployed to these various environments? So things like, bare metal, how do we run in their data center versus, in AWS or Azure? And sort of the complexities around configuration, parameterizing each of these, integrations with, third-party things like Spark, and like SaaS Studio and things like that. Those are the sorts of issues that we run into. It's more about integrations and running in different environments than, say, high traffic scaling. Ideally, we could take a couple of tracks with the way our product works. We could build out a platform where we allow, sort of a multi-tenant environment, or even you could imagine having customers that are global enterprises that need to have sort of regionally partitioned data and certain sort of access controls around that data, and so those sorts of multi-tenant, multi-regional sort of scaling issues are things that we definitely are starting to run into. The other parts are, as our team grows, as our engineering team grows, because when I started over a year ago, we were less than 20 people. Now we're like 80 people in the company. How do we scale our engineering organization? And what are the sorts of tools, processes that we institute so that our teams can grow from 15 to 30 to 100 people. Those sorts of decisions are really interesting and fun, and those are the sorts of things we're making today. So when I joined Domino, I think there was only one other person there that really had a background in functional programming other than me. Most of the code had been written in a very object-oriented style, but using some of the things that you get from Scala, like immutability, case classes, those sorts of things. So there was some sort of practice of like the benefits of functional programming, but like most things weren't referentially transparent. There was really not much compositionality outside of inheritance and mixins. And so one of the first projects I worked on was a caching service, a smart caching service, which, as building that out, I decided to take sort of a hybrid approach. I tried to only use the libraries and tools that we already were familiar with and already knew. Things like Play and Akka, and then apply a functional wrapper over the top. And that allowed me the ability to use it as a starting point to start advocating for functional programming. So there were concepts like type classes. There's concepts like data transformation over sort of like simple data types and attaching behavior as opposed to this inheritance model. Error propagation as opposed to sort of throwing exceptions everywhere. How do you use like either and values instead? And it was both a product that I shipped and a way to sort of give code to people to help them learn these functional techniques. And I'd say one of the biggest wins was, I had a coworker that was really big into Spring and was like an old-time Java programmer, and he was the one who made a pull request to bring in Monad into our main controllers. So I'd say that's a pretty big win. I actually attended, I think it was the second or the first Scala by the Bay, and I didn't know Scala at all. I didn't write it at all. I just was interested. And from that to somebody who now gets a paycheck to write Scala, I think it's a great opportunity for both beginners and very advanced developers to come together and learn about this really quirky but awesome language.